Alright, so it's been a while since I put a video out on the 49, and with summer coming up here, we need to get a few things fixed up that we found last year to get it so it's a really nice cruiser. Just a few little things, you know, want to get a little more clearance in the steering column. Signals were not working, we had to flash them with the lever and stuff like that. So yeah, we're going to try to get all that stuff wrapped up and take care of a couple little leaks maybe, and we should be good to go. So stick around and watch the video, and hope you enjoy it. Well, spring is here and getting some work done on the old Chevy, get her back on the road. Just want to kind of fix up a few things. So as you can see, the booster master cylinder is missing right now. The Hydraboost was leaking really bad. And I believe that's what was causing the power steering pump to growl, was sucking air in at the leak. So I picked up this setup here. Ordered this from Resto Mod Supply. See how it works. It's technically made for a Camaro, but we're gonna try it out on this. I mean, I don't know what this came off of, so trying to get the rod set up to go to the brake pedal. So the one that was on the truck had this rod end on it, and the one that comes on this setup is, as you can see, much smaller. So what I ended up doing was punching out, that's still hot, punching out the original pin that the rod connected to, and pressing and welding in a grade 8 bolt. It fits real nice into this coupler, and I just put a lock nut on the end to hold it on, and we should be good to go. So yeah, I'm going to get the pedal reinstalled, and then at that point I can mount the booster to the firewall. And after we get this pedal done, steering column, it's going to come out. We'll put in the aftermarket steering column we got with a nice wood steering wheel. And I also bought a ignition switch to go in the dash, wherever it is. But ignition for the dash. Unfortunately, the body of it's too big to mount down in the factory hole. So what we're going to do is, we've got this hole here already. I think we're going to mount it in the dash up here. I got lots of room back there. So that's where it's going to go. All right, I'm going to get back on to getting this pedal mounted in and see if we can get this system up and working. All right, so got it all pretty well installed. Think it's going to work nice. I just got to adjust a little bit of the linkage still at the pedal, but had a couple little leaks. Just had to tighten up a couple more fittings on the brake lines. But they're all good now. Nothing's leaking. I'm still getting just a little bit of air in the power steering. I got to work all that out still. But otherwise, yeah, it's all installed. A nice looking setup, you know, not too flashy, but nice and clean looking. I don't know if I've said this before, but I wish this hose was like 3-4 inches shorter, and these were 2-3 inches longer. But unfortunately, you know, when you get these things made, it's hard to get everything exactly precise. But yeah, it's working good. I think it'll be a nice setup. No leaks of power steering coming out of the booster anymore. So that'll be nice. Have that smoking every time we start it up, soaking the headers down there. And I got to get down and wash the frame. That's all covered in power steering fluid. But all right, I also got the new ignition switch installed. We decided to go in the dash here. Worked pretty nice. It's not hooked up yet, but it'll be a good location. So now time to start on the steering column. Get that thing swapped out, get the new one in there. A lot shorter column and a wood wheel look a lot nicer. So, all right, I'm gonna get to work probably tearing that out. Now, got the old one out, got the new one in. A couple of issues. I mean, it looks great. I really like the look of it. But one of the issues we had with the old one was the fact the steering wheel was so far back that we have to have the seat all the way back. And so there's no adjustment, if somebody taller wanted to take her for a cruise. So we got a shorter column. Problem is, it's not the length of the column that's causing the problem. It's this part here that causes the issue. If we try to tuck this up in farther, that drops the steering wheel down, so it's hitting your knees. So that's kind of where it has to sit. I mean, I can bring it up a little more. It's just sitting in right now. But that's kind of the position it needs to be front to back. So we really didn't gain a lot. And since we bought a much shorter column, I got this issue. I'm about 6 inches short on my steering now shaft. So I've got to order up some new joints and make a new shaft. Not a biggie, except the joints are freaking expensive. And these are welded on, so can't just unscrew them and put a new piece of shaft in there. I'm just a fan of welding, not bolting it together. So yeah, it's always something. I think I can take this plate off of the old column here to mount to the firewall to support that end. Looks like it's just welded along here. So I'll cut that. Should be able to slide this off. Might have to do a little more damage to the end of the column here. And I already have this mount in there. I just got to make a spacer to use that mount. So otherwise, I think it'll work pretty darn well. And here's that mount right here. So I just got to make like a filler that'll go in, and that'll support it, keep it nice and strong. So, all right, I am going to try to cut off the firewall piece off of the old column, and see how well that fits on. So I got the new shaft here mocked up. I went with the Borgeson joints. When I was comparing prices, the Borgesons were really, between the two of them, not much more expensive, if any. And what I like about them is they claim they're milled out of billet steel, so they're not a cast steel, so I feel much better about welding them. I still got to watch the heat. You don't want to overheat the joints, the bearings in the U-joint. But yeah, so first I mocked up, with the wood dowel to get that length. For this part of the shaft, I just made this an inch or so longer because it gets me up above the headers a little farther and doesn't really affect any of my angles. So then I just got them good and cleaned up, ready to weld, but I'm not going to weld yet until I finish up the steering wheel mount. I was able to get the piece off of here that'll mount to the firewall, so I want to get that welded onto the steering column, make sure I got the steering column positioned exactly where it's going to be before I finalize these. But yeah, these should work really nice. I got everything clocked correctly, so there shouldn't be any binding issues, and once she's welded up, she'll be good. Well, we got everything in. Got all the steering linkage done. Welded up real nice. Those new joints. Everything connected in good. Clears nice. Got a little more clearance actually now with the headers. Brakes are all working good. Don't appear to be any kind of leaks for the new power assist Hydraboost. Got the air all worked out of the power steering pump finally. It's actually a little over full right now. I might have to suck a little out of it, but that's all working good. So now it was time to move to the inside, and she looks like a mess right now, but I finally got the relays all figured out for the signals and the brake lights. So now the signals flash and the brake lights, you know, when you hit the brakes, that brake light goes off when you're turning to that side like it's supposed to, but the others stay on. So that is all working. I already got the wires long enough so I can move them up under the dash over on that side and then tuck the wiring up out of the way. So then I moved on to the horn. Still got a little wiring to do here. And the horn, well, let me back up. First of all, the brakes were not working, and I think my brake switch failed. So I picked up a new brake switch, because when I just wired in a toggle switch, just laying down here, then I got them working. So all that works. Okay, now onto the horn. Could not get the horn to work. And what I finally figured out was it's a one-wire horn button right here. So that makes your contact to the pin in the steering column, and it turns and it cancels your signals. And it is connected to this button here. This button is isolated from this here, so there's no contact between this button and the steering column. And it needs to ground through the steering column. So this button is supposed to ground when you touch, because it's bolted here with springs. But they have a plastic or so much glue under this that it did not make contact to the button. So when you pushed it, you were just touching this, I think it's brass ring, to the button, but you weren't making a contact to ground through the steering column. So what I've done, this mess here, and I tested it first with just some tape. I took some bare copper strands, twisted up good, and laid them down inside here to make a contact from here to here. So now the horn does work. So that's just some gasket adhesive I got on there to hold that wire in place. So now I got contact there, I tried it out, and I got the horn working. So the only thing left will be wiring up the headlight dimmer switch, which should be no problem, mounting that. And then the hazards I don't like, they flash really fast, like there's not enough load on them, and you can barely see them. And also, when they're flashing, so this flasher here is for the hazards, that flasher there is for the signals. When the hazards are on, the signal flasher, you can feel it is clicking, and the hazard flasher is not. And I've tried, I can't remember if I did try another flasher in there, but when I take that flasher out, they don't flash. So it's obviously making a connection through that flasher, but I don't know why it's flashing both, or using both flashers. Still trying to figure that one out, but should be able to get this thing buttoned up here pretty quick. I'll get the relays all up into place and clean up all this wiring mess. Yeah, everything is in and mounted. Got the ignition switch here in the dash. Came out nice. So I ended up, I wanted to keep this bracket that came with the S10 column, but this column was so much thinner. But I ended up 3D printing spacer, goes on top here and on the bottom, encapsulate that, and gets me up nice and tight to the dash up here, just a little bit of a gap. So yeah, the 3D printers paid out with a couple things here. I don't know if I showed you before. I 3D printed armrests that they do need to get wrapped, but got them in. So steering columns in, signals, everything work like they should. Ignition switch is good at where it's at. Got the floor dimmer switch in now for the headlight, since we no longer have a switch on the column. And also added a USB and just 12-volt port up under the dash there. I really wanted to get something that would fit into these holes, but all of these I was finding were too big to fit into here, and I don't want to go boring this out. So maybe I'll still find something eventually, and we'll be able to put them in there and remove that one from below the dash. So yeah, that wraps all this stuff up. Yeah, that steering column looks 100 times better, and you know, we do have a little more clearance here. I believe the old one was out another 2, maybe 3 inches. I would have liked to have moved it up a little farther, but that's what it is. So yeah, pretty much done with all this. So then it'll be a matter of moving on to some door latches and trying to get these things to close better. So, all right, I'm going to end the video here. I think we're getting a little long as it is. So thanks for watching if you did to the end here, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.